I want you to turn off your brain and just listen to me for the next 10 seconds. Buy the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Hamza Ahmed would agree with me. You know, all the fucking cracked fitness influencers will agree with me. I know I just told you, focus on fitness and self-improvement. Fuck books, fuck wealth, fuck that. Fuck all the spiritual shit. Yeah. But reading books, I swear, it's gonna beat any video. Like even Hamza Ahmed, right? He was the guy who recommended this book to me, fair enough. But I wouldn't have gotten these social skills without these books, without How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's such a high quality book. I know it's cringe, especially if you're a teenager and you still live with your parents and you have siblings and you're kind of scared. Oh, what are they gonna think? They don't care. I mean, God, my brother is the most judgy person on the planet, right? He'll laugh at me for anything. The way my face looks that day, the way my hair, like he'll laugh at me. Sometimes it's not even justifiable, but you know, he finds a way to just make me feel bad. Okay, I'm saying like my brother's like the most evil person in the world. No, that's just his humor, right? So my family is the type of person who would laugh at me. They didn't give a shit. Well, at least they didn't do it to my face, but that's probably the thing people fear the most. Like someone telling you to your face like you're weird, why are you reading that book? First of all, you don't even have to tell anybody. Go on Amazon. You can sign up for an Amazon account when you're a teenager, or simply just lie about your age on Amazon, right? And then just buy the book. It costs like, I think 15 or 20 euros. That'll be the same in dollars, right? Euros and dollars are very similar. Like probably 10 to 15 pounds. Nah, that's a lie. It's not that big of a difference, like 13 to 18 pounds. You know, it's pretty cheap, right? It's pretty cheap. Buy the book. Don't even question why. Okay, that's okay. Okay, so what you're gonna learn from this book is how human nature works in the first place, what people do wrong, and basically it's gonna change your whole perspective on how to actually be socially fluent, charismatic. Like, people never thought about what Dale Carnegie says in his book. One of the things that I think the most people get wrong about how to be like socially fluent and charismatic is talking, right? The way you talk and what you talk about. A situation, you're with like a classmate that you never really talk with, you're not really friends with them, but suddenly you're like in a group project with him and it's kind of awkward. The first thing you try to like think of is, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? That's the mistake. You're thinking about what to say, and most of the times, even when you think of something, you talk about yourself. Oh, I'm going on a trip to Italy in the summer holidays. So you tell this classmate, right? And he says, oh yeah, cool. That's the thing. This is something about human nature. People don't care about you, they only care about themselves. I think we can agree with that, right? Even if you've never really thought of that, you can agree with that right away. Dale Carnegie explains it way better. I haven't read that book in ages. I only review the book like once every couple of months, just to remind myself of the principles, right? But when I read it, it was so mind-blowing, right? It was so mind-blowing. I remember thinking about those principles a lot when I read the book, and like just connecting dots and like realizing that this makes sense. This makes total sense. So basically what he says is stop talking about yourself and talk about the other person. So instead of talking about your holiday in the summer, ask him. I know it's a very simple question, it's just really small talk, but it's so magical. Ask him, well, where are you going on the summer holidays? So he says, I'm going to Italy. Oh, whereabouts? To Rome. Have you been there before? And also the quick, what am I talking about? The technique on how to keep the conversation going. Like, most people, when they ask the other person a question or they say something about themselves, all the answer is oh, cool, then the conversation dead, right? But what happens, the reason why you do that is because you think of the question in your head. You're not thinking about the question in your head, but you're not even listening to the guy, and you're trying to think of what to say next. That's the thing. So you ask him the question and you're already immediately trying to think of what to say next. Of course, that makes sense. I mean, you have to think about what you're saying, but you haven't even listened to him. First of all, listen to him. First, okay, you ask him, where are you going? And he says, I'm going to Italy. But you're not thinking about the next answer. You're just listening to him. That's the most important thing. You need to listen. So basically what Dale Carnegie says is to listen and only care about the other person. Make the other person talk about themselves and just listen. That's all you need to do. Listen. So you listen to the person, say, okay, oh, I'm going to Italy. Ah, whereabouts? Quick. And then he says, oh, Rome. Ah, well, have you been there before? How's it like? I actually have never been there before, it's my first time. And then he'll basically start talking about himself, opening up. And you'll say, and you'll say some random shit. So, oh, I've been to Rome before. It could have been better. There was some guy who tried to scam us. We're basically in Rome, and then he tried to scam us to get, he took a photo of us, and then, tried to scam us. And they're like, oh, what happened in the end? And he's basically just telling you a story after that. So you ask him, you ask him, oh, what happened? Did he actually scam you? And then he'll basically start opening up and then giving you a story. That's what people appreciate the most. I mean, think of the people you like the most. I'm not talking about in social media, but the people you personally know. Who are the people that you really like? Or another question, probably a better question. Who is the person, in your area, that people seem to like the most? Think about them for a second. And then think about what I told you. People appreciate a person who listens and just lets them talk about themselves. Does this person that everybody likes talk about themselves, or does he talk about, when he goes up to you, for example, does he talk about himself, or does he talk about you? Well, of course, I'm not saying you cannot talk at all about yourself. Even talking about yourself actually might even help the question, because some people are even more socially autistic and they won't even open about themselves. So you ask, where are you going to summer holidays? And they say, I don't know. Or they're just really blunt about it and say Rome. And you say, whereabouts? Wait, where are you going? So I basically ask them, where are you going? Italy. Oh, whereabouts? Rome. Have you been there before? No. And he's kind of just blunt about it. He basically is so autistic, right? So then to encourage him, you basically tell him about something about yourself. And you say, oh, no, I was reading up about Rome. Just make something up if you would need to. I was reading up about Rome. I heard there's a lot of illegal immigrants. I just some random shit. And then he'll basically, obviously, don't get in an argument. That's also one of the other principles Dale Carnegie talks about. Don't argue with people. If you win an argument, you lose the argument, because he hates you for that in a way. He obviously doesn't hate you, but if you win an argument, that guy's gonna his pride is gonna be hurt, and he won't fully accept that you won the argument, and you'll basically feel bad, right? If you lose an argument, you lose an argument. Well, actually, that's no. If you lose an argument, you win the argument, because he feels good about himself, but he also doesn't respect you, right? So there's no winning in an argument, right? So you say the thing about the illegal immigrants, and then he says, no, what the fuck are you talking about? There's no immigrants there. And you say, really? Do you think there are, what is your stance on this? And he basically just bluntly asks, what's your opinion on that? And then he starts talking about it, and you answer more, you ask more questions because you're listening to him. And then he says, I personally, I think the immigrants should just all come in. And then you say, why do you think that? And then you basically just get a conversation, and then you might find some ground between each other, saying, I also think about it. I'm an immigrant myself, just some random shit. You're basically just listening to the guy. And that's basically the core, I would say, of social skills. Listening and just getting the other person to talk about themselves. That's basically what Dale Carnegie says in his book, but obviously Dale Carnegie goes way, way deeper into the things, right? So that's why you should read the book. So first step to going into social life and social skills, buy Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think I'll put that in the link in the description. Just a random Amazon link, right? Obviously you can look up yourself if you don't trust the link. So that's basically how you get social skills. And then you apply this to build up your social life. Just doing this with as many people as possible. Not just doing this with one person, but doing this with as many people as possible. And that's basically how you do it, right? So that's basically how you get male friends, right? You can also apply this with women. but you're not going to get in their pants. That's the thing. With women, it's different. Like what Dale Carnegie says, you can do this with. Obviously, you can still do this with women if you don't want to get that in their pants. You just, I don't know, it's a fucking cashier, and you're saying, oh, or something, right? So it's just a cashier, and you don't really want to do anything with them, right? So this is how you just talk to people. This is how you build up a social life, especially with male friends. Yeah. I hope you're inside.